crazy the amount of the amount of variety you're getting in the group now.
Bro,
Uh,
did this elite guy, bro, are you actually shot out of your mind? This guy just put a freaking Steam GIF and you're a paying member? Brother, are you actually out of your mind? Who are you? DAUD. Bro, open
DAUD.
a ticket before we ban you. Like, what are you doing, brother? Like,
What the hell?
what? Hold on a second, bro. You're a paying member and you're trying to scam our community, bro? Like, you're literally trying to pay to scam. Hold on a second. I need to understand this. Hold on a second, bro. This doesn't make any sense. He literally has on a paid role and he's trying to post. I'm so confused right now. Give me a second. I have to understand this. I apologize.
No worries. I'm confused too, man.
Like, what? Like, what? Like, why would you? Oh my goodness. Brother literally paid 4 days ago, fulfilled his indicators, and is trying to scam our community. Like, what? Bro, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I'm like beyond lost for words right now. There's no way. He's definitely
Mhm.
hacked. Like, there's no way. I gotta send him a message. Are
Yeah.
you hacked? Because you just sent a scam message inside of our Discord with a paid role. Please confirm back before our systems ban you. Wow. What a morning. Happy Tuesday, February 11th. Uh, wow.
Uh,
I mean, it's
God,
almost like you can't make this stuff up sometimes. Literally
no.
what Zen said.
But it's sort of like, of course, there's a massive benefit to you, Josh, and the rest of the 2 Degrees team, right? For having access to such a big community that are almost obsessed with your product, right? And what comes with that is like obviously you wake up feeling very fulfilled, but probably likely uh, on the juxtaposition end of it is that you feel exhausted because the bigger the group grows, the more work, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
more work.
most people don't necessarily understand that. They just
Mm.
they only see the surface level, you know what I'm trying to say? And
Yeah, yeah.
as clear as I can make it, it's like we're a growing community. We have tons of people that we help and contribute to, that we want to continuously help. And,
Hmm.
I just don't necessarily think people recognize how large 2 Degrees is as a collective, right? Like we're constantly collaborating with tons of folks and providing as much opportunity as we can. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I
Because
appreciate
I
those
mean,
words. That means a lot.
oh, and I also understand that. Well, I probably understand a little bit more than um, everyone in the group,
Hmm.
right? Because you've told me that, when you're under the pump, you're like, yeah, we're busy at the moment. But when you guys say you're busy, it's because you have a hell of a lot of projects left, right, and center behind the scenes. And not only that, you're updating the current array of indicators too. So, yeah, it's just a big undertaking. And then, of course, you got to sort of do the hard thing with having such a huge Discord here, right? You got to do the hard thing, which is sort of prepare to make things easier for you in the future, and you got to think of like
Absolutely.
strategies. You're like, and that's a bit of like that's a big energy expenditure area, and you're like, how can we automate that? So you got to kind of do the hard thing, which is often the uncomfortable thing, which is thinking of strategies to make your life easier in future, which just doesn't come that easily. You have to think quite smart and outside the box at times. Anyway, so we have my chart. I think everyone can see my chart. I'm just trying to
Everyone drop a good
record
morning
all
and
my.
confirm that you can see FutureCode's chart. You could hear us both and not just one of us. Um, I don't know if it's possible to record it on your end. I've been having some
I
trouble
will.
with my OBS and it's been crashing. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you're able to take on that
Yeah.
role. If not, I understand, and I'm not trying to again pressure any of this. The people that are here and they're live and they're participating, they will have the most engagement and getting the best takeaways from it. And
Hmm.
ultimately, if there's a way for people to, review it that aren't here, that's great. But ultimately, being in the present is going to be your best teacher.
Hmm. I'm gonna record it. It's no problem on this end.
Appreciate you.
Um, yeah, no worries. It will just be in the recording my own voice because I can't. I need to figure that out. If we're like, if there's two voices, I need to have the output of my computer being fed into the input. If that makes sense. There's an app for it. Um, but yeah, I don't have that. Well, I do have it. I just couldn't figure it out because I'm a dumbass, evidently. But yeah, so today, I mean, I just felt um, I felt a bit of the drive or urgency or interest to cover something that interests me. And actually, the more I remember when I first started trading years back. Well, it wasn't really the first time I started trading because the first time I started trading, um, I traded CFDs on a plus 500 app back in like 2011 or 2012, was it? Yeah. And a friend at my work was like, "Hey, do you want to trade USD JPY?" And I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And they showed me, and I'm like, "Damn, you mean you can just make money on your phone? I thought that was just a scam, you know?" And cut a long story short, I'd be walking over to his desk. He worked in security, and I'd be like, "Hey, you got any signals today?" And he'd be like, "I'm not really comfortable giving you signals." And then later down the track, I realized, well, it's probably because like I don't even feel comfortable giving signals. Even where I am today, I'm like, I don't want to give people actual financial advice. I'd prefer to give people ideas on how they can become their own signals. And then the onus is on them. If they can't do it, it's their problem. you know. But anyway, so cut a long story short, we found ourselves in the crypto world, and everyone used to say confluence a lot back then, if you remember, Josh. It's like confluence this, you
Yeah.
got an NPOC here, you know, NPOC and 618. Yeah. So you got a naked volume cluster next to a 618 uh, retracement fib, all that kind of crap. Oh, there's confluence there. Whereas it's like, it's a funny thing. Like, you even like many years later, I'm like, oh, this. I guess if you actually have some useful data, like how the indicators that you guys build represent useful information for us, well, naturally, then it's like there's almost like more of a reason to have this awareness of confluent factors, right? When the factors themselves individually are powerful, right? So then like the more time has gone on, the more I can't really shake that idea of confluent factors, right? And you know me, in my previous lectures long enough by now, I'm always thinking of, I guess, very execution focused ideas, right? So I'm like, it's all great having a hypothesis and having an agenda to showcase research, but what it comes down to is you and the buy and sell button. And so what's going to get you in that trade? Also, what's going to keep you out of the trades that make no sense, right? So as you can see, the subtitle being staying out of the middle, right? And I'll just take you through some things. I was going through it last night with my group. I'm like, what would be a useful set of layers? And I was layering things up, and I'm like, okay, well, this didn't work. This had some kind of useful synergy, and then I just decided on these ultimately, where I'm combining structure, as I've taught in a previous lecture, where I was talking about um, real breaks, real ranges from the way I see them, from like a supply and demand sort of angle, but with a twist, um, and the internal scam perspective. And I see that as like the primary foundation to anything. It's like the base of the cake, right? It's like flour. Yeah. Um, because without having that ability to read structure, you got pretty much you need to go to the opticians. You need to get your prescription redone because you're not seeing everything clearly without that. So I started off with unmitigated structure. I see any structure that hasn't had its 50% hit as it still has fuel in it, right? It's only when that we've hit the 50% that that range in future I see as being able to just be disrespected, right? And it often ends up being the case where you just wash through it afterwards. Yeah, on the next retest. So structure being key, then volume, which I know for a lot of ICT traders, you don't really give a rat's ass. Don't really care about volume because he said he doesn't in a few lectures. That said, if you've watched enough of his lectures, you would have noticed that he used to have a volume-based setup. So um, it was the spoos, if anyone remember the spoos setup. I think there were other ones as well. Um, can you not? You should be able to hear me. Someone just said audio.
Yeah, I think that there's some
Yeah.
people that are having some audio problems. I'll just say it
All
right
right.
now. Again, please
I
just
see.
refresh your Discord and restart.
Mm,
Make sure that you don't have future code muted by any chance, and maybe you can hear just
okay.
me.
Mhm.
So there's other people that are reporting they can hear. So just please try to restart your Discord and come back in.
Anthony's like, I can hear, unfortunately. You bastard. Yeah, you got me saying you bastard now.
All right, let's
Yeah.
keep it PG. All right.
All right, PG. Yeah. All right. So I will literally just go through one by one. I've got all the tools off, right? What is the first thing on my list? Yeah. Right. Staying out of the middle. Well, that means I'm going to frame a time range that I know tends to result in the clearest view, right? The clearest setups, the cleanest setups. I mean, that's a bit of a vague word, clean. What? Clean setup. What does that mean? I mean, it hits a level and then you have your subsequent break, and we tend to drift away, right? There's some decisiveness to the moves, right, around that period. Why? Well, volume's coming in, open interest is increasing, so you're not getting these stagnant moves, right? But yes, so I would say that what's a good way to cut out that view? What's a good way to cut out that view? Well, there's this, I remember the engineer showing me this a while ago, and it's sort of, you've got your own version where you highlight candles by time, right? And I wanted to sort of make it all hollow, I guess. I think he does that. Should we try that? I mean, I might need to color over it.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
try
the
it.
standard settings of the dynamic RTH. You could highlight the overnight. So I
Yeah,
think that
exactly.
that's
In
what he has
here,
there. Yeah, so if you go to
exactly. Yeah.
inputs, yeah, that right there.
ETH candles. Yeah. So yeah, but I've changed it to reference 6 a.m. time range, right? So it's really 6 to 11 a.m. I'm interested in. 6 to 11 a.m. setup framing. It means that you shouldn't really, because we're just human, right? We're human. We need to be aware that we are limited. Right? We haven't got two brains. Like sometimes I've got a twin brother. I'm like, damn, we could really do some damage if I had him thinking about the boring stuff and me thinking about the fun stuff. um, and we just merged brains. But sadly, that's not such a reality that's possible. But I would prefer not to have him inside my head. That would be quite traumatic. Anyway, so we have this issue with being a human. If you acknowledge you are human and you have limitations, that in a way is assuming you suck a little bit, right? And in a way, it's also removing that ego, right? The thing that makes you so sure of something, like don't be so sure, anything can happen. Yeah. So with that said, I'm like, okay, well, I need triggers to trick me into not trading. If the candles have no color, I shouldn't be trading. That's what this is for, right? And so 6 a.m. to 11, it's going to keep you out most of the time. Of course, there are setups in Asia that are beautiful, right? And you'll look back in hindsight and you'll be like, damn, I should have done this. Ah, I should have traded this. Oh, if only I stayed up all night. And um, you know, you'll burn out, and you don't even realize that you're operating on less than stellar capacity when it's happening, right? You don't know you're not yourself whilst you're not yourself. Yeah. So, anyway, how would I then? I think I'm going to frame yesterday because that was interesting. Um, how we ended up interacting with these levels, right? So, first things first, you can remain on 5 minute structure, right? And I'm just going to plonk this at 11 because at that point in time, you should have had the setups, right? Should have had all the setups. So when I'm talking about structure, right, I mean, if you haven't seen the last video I did on structure, what's bullish structure? Well, sort of like a three-pronged process. You come from a low, it puts in a new high. So we break above a previous high with the body close. Then once we've put in a new high, what follows a new high? A new higher low, right? And then what do we have? We have a new higher high because we have a body close. The body close is key because otherwise you're going to be seeing what we call a turtle soup, which is very not bullish. It's the opposite, isn't it? So yeah, for me, first things first is to mark out the structure. Yeah. And so what do we have here? I'm like a broken record with this stuff, but I always say that it's like your lecturer in college will always say, or your maths teacher would, I mean, I'll try and keep it PG-13, but uh, maths teacher would often go top heavy fractions. He's referring to a woman with big breasts, And so I'm that guy who repeats himself, but it's because he knows his stuff. Well, similarly, I will often repeat myself because the stuff I refer to, I embody it, right? So anyway, so what do we see here? Well, this is like my market structure. I think I did an internal scam lecture, but what we want to see, let me draw it out here. So you got this structure here. Yeah, like so. We close above here, and what? We happen to no, we don't mitigate it because that's I'm saying unmitigated structure. So it hasn't had its 50% hit after the close above. So the range is activated. Then what? Well, then we leave behind wicks in premium, the upper 50%. Yeah. So that when I write on the chart scam level, that's what I mean. It's a it's a level on the chart, right? For bullish, you want to see a wick left behind in premium. In for bearish, you want to see a wick left behind in discount. Yeah, I can actually show you an example. That's what that was. If you saw me post that on Sunday, I think, and we gapped up. That was the scam level. Can you see wick left behind in discount or wick left behind in premium? You see, um, really, really the most powerful thing. Okay, all of the bloody, all of the science and the bull. I'm trying not to swear. I'm trying. All of the confusing, unnecessary nonsense that we all post, if you can find something that's just so simple, that just repeats itself, and arguably you could call yourself a pattern trader, but is it really pattern trading when you actually the sort of framing of that behind the scenes is that there's a lot more complexity to what's going on, right? I happen to know that orders tend to accumulate. I'm looking at the dark pools these days, and it's once again showing me that orders will accumulate at the 50% of structure, right? So it's not even just a theory, it's a literal fact. Yeah. So anyway, so you got this internal scam. What do we see? Do you see any similarities? You got a wick left behind. What do? We come and run that. And you could have been able to frame that ahead of time, right? Sunday opens and we run to there. We create a gap, right? Anyway, all I'm saying is you got structure. Structure, structure, structure. Structure is most important thing, like aside from all of the other fancy tools, um, because it means that you can trade with using those tools if you can read structure. So that was the structure below, yeah, on yesterday, right? And we have structure above, right? So this low put in that high, and we close below. First retest, and what did we do? We come up to, so we've gone from 150% to the next, really. But what we're saying is we want to stay out of the middle, right? So we know we came from here. That happened outside of our trading window, right? Let's add on the next tool, right, on the list. So we got structure going on. Now we want to add on, I've got periodic volume profile, right? And I'll share this chart afterwards. Yeah, I should write that down. Share chart. One moment. All right. So, damn. Okay. So period 12 hour, right? Yeah. So 12 hour. I remove the value areas. I just want the point of control, which is the highest volume, right? I do want to also see the rest of the profile too. So I have it set up like so, right? Anyway, I'll share this afterwards. Why? Because inside the volume profile, you have three things that I'm interested in, right? Which is naked points of control, which are highest volume areas, which are these, yeah? These guys, you see? Which just means the most activity, right? And when they're untested and you come and revisit them, well, guess what? Explosive moves happen. Decisions get made, right? Because why? Everyone is trapped there. Yeah. Price moves away. If you know anything about market dynamics, right, you'll know that when people close out their, let's say everyone's shorted here, yeah, and price moves up, they just want to get out break even, don't they? So when price comes back to their entry, and we know there's a huge cluster of trading activity there, likelihood is there's going to be a lot of people trapped short. Yeah. So when we come and revisit that, they're like, this is my thank you, God. Of course, God comes into it. Thank you, God. You've allowed. No, God doesn't care whether you get. I'd argue God probably wants to Probably wants you to learn your lesson and stop shorting without a stop and riding it all the way up. Yeah, you didn't really learn anything by being able to pull out a break even there. Anyway, so you have this flush of or flurry of traders pulling out break even. What does that do? It loads the market up with market buy orders. You understand, right? Um, uh, and yeah, there is. I wouldn't say I don't use the term buying and selling pressure, but the market does move based on participants. But there happens to be an algorithm too, right? I know that because why do standard deviations work every day? You know, there's something going on there. So I think it's a bit of both. It doesn't really matter, does it? Because if your setup presents, if you got data to support a setup working, like we're defining now, this is a very powerful setup structure and volume alone, right? Of course, what do we have? We have more, right? It just adds more confluent factors, right? More confluent factors as to why you want to remain calm, right? You're going to remain calm the more confluence there is, and that's all it is. Trading is pretty much 90% belief and confidence. Yeah. Um, no use in me giving you 100% win rate strategy and you have no experience. So therefore you lack the confidence to execute and hold on to a trade to a certain price. Uh, it's just not expected, right? So anyway, we have 6 a.m., right? We literally do not care, right? I think half of the issue is with traders, and not even new traders, experienced traders too, that are still struggling, is they'll have a common theme, which is, "Oh, I know I'm supposed to only trade between 6 and 11, but I saw everyone trading and everyone's making money, and then I'm like, oh well, I'm just gonna take a setup now." Um, and it's like, yeah, but actually, the thing that's going to make you a better trader is watching all those guys trade and letting all the opportunities pass and then being an absolute bot and being like trading activated for the day 6 a.m. New York, and then you can engage. And the cool thing about this is your job before 6 a.m. is one thing: to frame the confluent zones. Yeah. So what do we have in this locality? Right? We have this POC, yeah? By the way, this is literally at 6 a.m. We come and run the naked POC. This POC stops printing, by the way, after we mitigate it, aka tap it, yeah? So 6 a.m., it was a beautiful one because we came down, hit the POC, right? What else is there? Well, I just happen to know 6 a.m., 4-hour candle open, yes. So right there, what does it do? It comes, it allows traders to get out, right? Or it stops out early longs. It's one of the two, right? But they both result in market buy orders, by the way, um, flushing the market. So we have this drop down. We have what? We have the DTT intraday. And now what do we have? We have confluence, right? We had not only the 6 hour the previous 12-hour highest volume cluster, right? We also had a stack of DTT candles, root candles, right? And what I've said in the notes here, this is small print, right? It's confluence defined by at least two factors. We have it. That's all we need. Two factors. There's no confluence if there's nothing there. Yeah. So yeah, very cool. And that will happen most of the time. You're going to get those setups. Now, another thing is, what are you going to target, right? Well, let's add on. Should we add on the? Okay, I've got Asia devs set up and London divs, right? The reason why I have them exactly the same color is because I don't care if it's London or Asia divs, right? the fact one is Asia and the fact one is London deviations doesn't matter. It's just the levels that we're interested in. So you can see right here and now, what do we have locally? Not forgetting the elements of the volume profiles that we care about, right? Which is the npox, HVNs, and the voids. Voids look like these thin areas, right? So as opposed to an FVG or a gap from an ICT perspective would be called, well, an FVG is just an imbalance, right? An actual gap is a void. There's no trading activity in there. Whereas actually, if you look on the bid and ask profile inside an FVG, you'll actually see some little orders of people getting in the middle of nowhere, which is always funny. Oh, it's hilarious seeing people lose money. Oh, God, it's the most hilarious thing. And of course, I don't mean it like that. It's just like, why would you enter in this big sudden down move? Oh, wait, I've done that before. Yeah, that's horrible. Poor guy. But yeah, so we have these voids, so it means that there's less trading activity there. Guess what? A little bit of source here, which is if we push up and test, if you've ever experienced this, test a void on a volume profile, right? First test, you're going to pull back pretty aggressively, and then we'll continue to travel and fill that. So the first tap of a volume void, you're going to pull back. You literally always do it, right? And well, we can see that is kind of the gap forming. Yeah. But when we come and revisit it, here, you see, aggressively pull back, move up. Literally always happens. So don't let that aggressive pullback freak you out, is my point. Right? Because it's going to happen. And then it's like a magnet. These volume voids in the profiles are magnets. So this is what I'm saying. You have your 6 a.m. entry, right? Then what? Then your target can be a confluent factor. So we have a stack of Asia and London deviations, a 1 and a 2, yeah, at the edge of the structure, yeah. That's all you need. Doesn't matter if it keeps going. That's a huge move. Let me remind you, NQ is just too volatile at the moment, and I think people get a little bit they forget that only if you've been trading longer than a year, only a year ago, just over, yeah, a year ago. Yeah, well, definitely a year ago. A year ago, the ranges were like 3 times less, right? So you'd often see people trading 15 contracts. Yeah, back then, if you remember. Whereas now, I'm seeing more and more people just being like, I'm okay with just 2, 3 contracts. Yeah, that's enough for me. Yeah. So, you could, the volatility is great, but it means that you have to be more in, I use the term, you have to be more defensive, combative. There's another word I use, which is you have to be conservative and protective, right? There's another word I use, it's going to annoy me now, but you basically have to be prepared to get stopped out, right? And a year ago, I would get stopped out less, right? I get stopped out less a year ago, but now because wherever I want my stop to be and wherever I don't want, yeah, defensive, Anthony. Thank you. You got to be defensive. So I'm like, yeah, the market's probably going to stop me out and then run. And it might do that 5 times. I'm prepared for it to stop me out 5 times in a row, right? Because I prefer that to happen than have my stop wider than I really comfortably feel. I'm always qualifying. I'm like, I could lose $250 in this trade. I guess that's not so bad. I'm like, yeah, but what if I could lose, you know, nothing and then get a better entry lower, you know? So I always have this like, it's a little bit like greed. Defensive trading is kind of like conservative trading. Conservative is another way of saying greedy, kind of, you know, but in the right kind of way. So anyway, so we have what? This move up, and you just take it off at the earliest convenience, right? So the earliest level in that stack, yeah, which is a nice 46 points. That's more than enough. Well, let's say, how do we enter, right? You're going to enter based on structure too, yeah. So this is all prepared ahead of time, remember? So you don't have to enter the trade, remember, just after we mitigate the pot. You need a trigger, you know. My trigger is a range break. Yep. So the body close above that high. You understand? You understand? Right? So need that body close above that high. Otherwise, I am literally not interested, right? So you literally have a a high, puts in a low, yeah. You have what you want to see in terms of like a long setup framing, right? But but you need to wait for the confirmation. Don't be the guy that enters long just because we ran here and you're waiting all this time. That's the power of literally only coming to the chart at 6 a.m., right? You still have 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes until we actually confirm on the 5 minute. I'd prefer to be looking at just the 5 minute all bloody day. I don't know about you, right? Because it does naturally get a little bit more advanced and chaotic the lower time frame you get, right? So, and what we're trying to paint here is your one shot, one kill every day, right? So staying out of the middle. That means only trading when you enter your time range that you know tends to offer the clearest view. I think this is just one example. So I'm sort of interested in today because I haven't seen today, right? And your confluent factors, you can have them on and off. Yeah, just have what is on locally. So just have your tools, your weapons to use when you need them. Yeah. So I'm gonna take this off. That was nice and clear. And so let's go for now, today, right? Yeah. So that was mitigated. So honestly, coming back up now, we could actually we could really go up now, honestly. We could absolutely go up because the fuel has been vanquished from this range, right? We also have 4 hour order block here, which we could be reclaiming, right? But what was the setup? Well, this is interesting, right? I'm gonna turn some stuff off, and I should add on 0.25 and 0.5 as well, right? Because yeah, remembering that structure is important to us. Yeah. And I want to clean things up. I'll just move this over to the left here. I want to focus on, I want to take this off, right? And that target was based on a confluent factor of 3. Yeah. You can grade it yourself. Confluent factors. And then you can be like, oh, okay, ahead of 6 a.m., you can prepare. It will take you like 5 minutes. Oh, there's this above and then this below. Oh, this target above has a confluent factor of 3. Oh, this target below has or this entry point below has a confluence factor of 2, whatever. Just needs 2, right? So, yeah. Looking locally, where was the setup? Well, this is very hindsight of me now, but let's go. So from here, what did we do? Well, see, there was a short setup. wonderfully. That was the setup after 6 a.m., right? I'm going to turn off this because what we're seeing is ultimately an entry point, right? Which was what? At 6 a.m., this is the previous, 12-hour volume profile. Yep. It's the previous 12-hour volume profile, right? Are you seeing, once again, at 6, which is here, what do? We run up, mitigate that naked. It was naked at that point in time, right? Those traders that uh, basically longed probably somewhere here, yeah, that's their opportunity to get out break even, right? Hence why it's often so reactive, right? So you get a flow of market sell positions, which can push us down, yeah. And then we have deviation confluence, right? So you got the one here based off Asia. Then you've got, yeah, so naturally that's a target, right? But we haven't even brought structure into this, and we know structure is the thing, yeah, that we need to frame things off as it's the flower of the cake mix, yeah. So coming into
Whatever you guys want to
coming
talk about.
in to
Um,
6
whatever you
a.m.,
guys want to
we
talk about.
follow
Whatever you guys want
price
to talk
along.
about. I
High,
could talk trading pretty
low,
much
lower, high,
nonstop. You guys
lower,
got to shut
low.
me up. So,
Remember, it needs to be body closes. Lower, high causes
like I
a
said,
new
really happy to
lower
be here.
low.
If you guys have any like
What
questions
follows
or
a new
thoughts
lower
that you
low?
want me to
A
expand
low
on,
that closed below a previous
very happy to
low
do it.
that was successful in
Okay.
putting in
So I
a
will say
lower
I do a lot of
high.
things that are pretty unconventional.
Well, then
By
you
all means,
have a
everything I say
lower
today,
high
I don't want you guys to take
following
it as
from a lower low,
I'm
right? A
definitely not
valid lower
the
low,
kind of person that thinks there's only
right?
one way to
So we
trade
know
or
coming
how it
into
works or anything
6 a.m.
superior